Who gets to call themselves a miner? Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters. And I've recently been asked the question again about who gets to call themselves a miner and why. I wrote a post about it many years ago on the Australian Mining for New Starters Facebook page, which I'm going to bring up and use. But it really does go down two ways of thinking. There's the way of thinking that people, if you are physically on the mine site, then you work on a mine site, therefore you are a miner. Then there are the people that actually do the mining jobs, and they look at it pretty differently than everybody else does. So I just want to run through that from everybody's perspective. So if we jump over to the Facebook post, and like I said, this is from August 2019, but it hasn't changed. It's still relevant. Who gets to call themselves a miner and who doesn't? In the Hardrock underground mining industry and in the Hardrock industry, they have a very different attitude towards that. And especially when I first started, if you ran around Kalgoorlie calling yourself a miner and you weren't on an air leg, you were going to get dragged out of the pub and you were going to get the shit beaten out of you most of the time. So most people that worked underground, if you worked on an air leg, then you're a miner. But if you worked underground operating a machine, then you're an operator or an armchair miner or even a rock ape, as some of the fitters lovingly like to refer to us as, because our knuckles drag on the ground and we lift heavy things. That's their reasoning behind it. So if you work on the surface, then you're a surface miner, and they often refer to themselves as a driller, or if you work on the shot firing crew, you're a shot firer. I suppose the big thing that I'm trying to get at here with people is that the people that actually work in the mine and have mining jobs very rarely refer to themselves as miners. They often refer to themselves by the title of the job that they're doing. So if you ask somebody underground what do they do, you'll get told that they're a nipper or a charge-up person or a bogger operator or a jumbo operator. Very rarely you will get someone say that they're a miner. And it's the same thing with people that work on the surface or in the mill or in the workshop as a fitter. One of the biggest insults that you can give to a fitter is to call them a miner. It's the last thing that they want to be called. Yeah, I've seen fisticuffs many times over that by someone trying to insult a fitter by calling them a rock ape. Yeah, it's just the way people are wired up. And that's why a lot of people from the industry find it very amusing that people in the construction side of things and in the shutdown side of things constantly refer to themselves as miners. If you're working utility in the camp, then you're not a miner, you're a utility worker. If you're working shutdown on a mine site, you're a maintenance worker, not a miner. If you're working construction on a mine site, you're a construction worker. It just is. I get why people do it, but because you are physically on the mine site, so technically you are working on a mine, so a lot of people do refer to themselves as miners. But it's really misleading, especially within the hard rock, the industry proper, so the actual mining jobs. And it can have a big effect on a lot of people trying to jump from a construction job or making the most out of their time that they've spent working as construction or shutdown, trying to turn it into an underground haul truck job or an underground nippers job or an offsiders job or something like that. Because when you send a resume into a hard rock job and you start off by saying that you've got 10 years you've got 10 years mining experience, the foreman or the project manager that's reading that, they're going, oh great, I've got a jumbo operator, I've got a really experienced bogger operator or somebody that I can work with. And then when they read a bit further and all your 10 years experience in mining has been in construction on a mine site, that's no use to them. And most of those resumes at that stage get thrown straight in the bin. It is the way it is. If you are in that situation and you have got a lot of FIFO experience as a construction worker or a shutdown worker or something like that, then my suggestion would be to have a look at the sponsor's DIY Introduction to Underground Mining page and have a look at that. The course has got all the information that you need to go to the employers and say that you're the full bottle. So if you can marry that information up with your current FIFO experience, then you're probably on a winner. And if you want to take a lot of the time and headaches out of it, I'd go for this one. It's a little bit more expensive than the DIY 450. You still do all the same online training, but this way you get your resume redone for you, and you also get interview prep. So they're going to be able to go through the mining information that the employers are going to want you to know. Now, I've had a lot of people do that with success in the past, but I've also had a lot of people take a run at these employers with their without getting their mining knowledge up to speed, and get really quite angry and aggressive when their 10 years FIFO experience or their 10 years mining experience isn't recognised as real mining experience. Because, you know, you've jumped on a plane, you've gone up, you worked 12-hour days, but you've done all your experience in the construction side of things, and the mining side's totally different. So apart from being able to get yourself to the airport and on the plane, there's not a lot of transferable skills there, and that's what, you know, really annoys a lot of people in the hard rock mining side of things when they get resumes from people that say that they've been a miner for 10 years or 5 years or whatever, and it turns out that, like I said, you know, they've been working construction or shutdown or maintenance or something like that. You know, if you're working down the hole, then, you know, you're working in the mine, you're a miner. And even nowadays, you know, like I said at the start of the video, you know, back in the day, only people on air legs were allowed to call themselves miners. And pretty much everybody still sticks to that these days. A few jumbo operators like to call themselves miners every now and then, but most people that work underground call themselves operators. And, you know, on the surface, they've got the same sort of things going. They've got their version of all that, and yeah, it's just not a situation where, you know, just because you work on a mine site that makes you a miner. Yeah, it aggravates a lot of people, and I know it causes a lot of people's resumes just to be chucked out straight away. So I hope you found that information helpful, and I will put I'll put a link into the Facebook post so you can have a bit more of a read about it. I might actually repost the Facebook post again so people can have a look when I post the video. That'll probably be easier. But if you've got any more questions about trying to get into the industry, the whole idea behind these videos is to give a new starter that's looking outside, looking in for the first time, really good perspective on how the industry actually works. Because if you've watched any of the videos, you've probably worked out already that the industry works a little bit differently than everywhere else in Australia, and that's basically because it doesn't come under the national system, it comes under the state-based systems, which is one of the many things that's a little bit different about it all. But yeah, if you know, it's a good industry to get into, but you know, people that call themselves miners often aren't. Yeah, we all get a good laugh out of that, and like I said, most people that are actually in the mining jobs working down the hole identify themselves by their specific job. So, you know, I'm a truck driver in the pit, or I'm the digger operator in the pit, or I'm the shot fire on the pit, or the charge up underground, or the bogger operator underground, or the jumbo operator underground. Very rarely, like I said, you get the people that are actually doing the mining work call themselves miners. And like I said in the video, for God's sake, don't call a fitter a miner, because yeah, you'll know all about it. They don't like being called that. So anyway, I hope you find that information helpful, and if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful. Thanks.